The last few minutes, I want to talk about something else, and I want to talk about machine consciousness. And the very first thing to say about machine consciousness is why on earth should we care about it? I am not remotely interested in building machines that are conscious. I know very, very few artificial intelligence researchers that are. But nevertheless, it's an interesting question. And in particular, it's a question which came to the fore because of this individual. This chap, Blake Lemoine, in June 2022, he was a Google engineer, and he was working with a Google large language model, I think it was called Lambda. And he went public on Twitter and I think on his blog with an extraordinary claim. And he said, the system I'm working on is sentient. And here is a quote of the conversation that the system came back with. He said, I'm aware of my existence and I feel happy or sad at times. And it said, I'm afraid of being turned off. Okay? And Lemoine concluded that the program was sentient, okay, which is a very, very big claim indeed. And it made global headlines. And I received, I know through the Turing team, we got a lot of press inquiries asking us, is it true that machines are now sentient? He was wrong on so many levels, I don't even know where to begin to describe how wrong he was. But let me just explain one particular point to you. You're in the middle of a conversation with ChatGPT and you go on holiday for a couple of weeks. When you get back, ChatGPT is in exactly the same place. The cursor is blinking, waiting for you to type your next thing. It hasn't been wondering where you've been. It hasn't been getting bored. It hasn't been thinking, where the hell has Wooldridge gone? You know, I'm not going to have a conversation with him again. It hasn't been thinking anything at all. It's a computer program which is going around a loop, which is just waiting for you to type the next thing. Now, there is no sensible definition of sentience, I think, which would admit that as being sentient. It absolutely is not sentient. So I think he was very, very wrong. But I've talked to a lot of people subsequently who have conversations with ChatGPT and other large language models, and they come back to me and say, are you really sure? Because actually, it's really quite impressive. It really feels to me like there is a mind behind the scene. So let's talk about this, and I think we have to answer them. So let's talk about consciousness. Firstly, we don't understand consciousness. We all have it to greater or lesser extents. We all experience it, okay? But we don't understand it at all. And it's called the hard problem of cognitive science. And the hard problem is that there are certain electrochemical processes in the brain and the nervous system, and we can see those electrochemical processes, we can see them operating, and they somehow give rise to conscious experience. But why do they do it? How do they do it? And what evolutionary purpose does it serve? Honestly, we have no idea. There's a huge disconnect between what we can see going on in the physical brain and our conscious experience, our rich, private, mental life. So really, there is no understanding of this at all. I think, by the way, my best guess about how consciousness will be solved, if it is solved at all, is through an evolutionary approach. But one general idea is that subjective experience is central to this, which means the ability to experience things from a personal perspective. And there's a famous test due to Nagel, which is, what is it like to be something? And Thomas Nagel in the 1970s said, something is conscious if it is like something to be that thing. It isn't like anything to be ChatGPT. ChatGPT has no mental life whatsoever. It's never experienced anything in the real world whatsoever. And so for that reason, and a whole host of others that we're not going to have time to go into, for that reason alone, I think we can conclude pretty safely that the technology that we have now is not conscious, and indeed that's absolutely not the right way to think about this. And honestly, in AI, we don't know how to go about making conscious machines, but I don't know why we would. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, well.